Every morning, your mind wakes up before your body. If you do not guide it, it will run in every direction. The Stoics believed that focus is not found by chance. It is built by simple rules, practiced daily. Here are 5 Stoic rules to help you improve your focus. Every morning. Silence is the first discipline of the day. When you wake up, your mind is empty and open, like a calm lake before the wind touches it. This moment is rare. Most people destroy it without thinking. They reach for noise, they reach for screens. They invite the world to rush in before they have chosen how to live the day. The Stoic chooses differently. He understands that the first moments of the morning shape the rest of the hours. Silence is not weakness. It is strength. In silence, you are not reacting, you are observing. Your thoughts appear slowly, you can see them clearly. When noise comes too early, thoughts scatter. The mind becomes restless before the day even begins. Silence allows the mind to stand upright. When you sit quietly in the morning, you begin to regain control. You feel your breath, you feel your body, you notice your thoughts without following them. Worries may appear, plans may appear, fears may appear. You do not fight them, you do not chase them, you let them pass. This is how focus is trained, not by force, but by calm attention. The Stoics believed that a person should not give their mind away to others. Noise is a way of giving it away. News, messages, voices, and demands pull your attention outward. Silence brings it back. In silence, you remember who you are and what matters. You are not defined by what others expect from you today. You are defined by your character and your actions. Silence teaches patience. When you do nothing, you learn that nothing bad happens. The urge to check, to scroll, to distract yourself becomes weaker. You realize that you do not need constant stimulation to exist. This builds inner strength. A focused mind is a patient mind. In silence, you can prepare yourself for the day ahead. You can remind yourself that the day may not go as planned. You can accept this calmly. You can tell yourself that you will act with reason, not impulse. These thoughts do not need many words, they need space. Silence gives them space. Morning silence is not about meditation alone. It is about respect for your own mind. You would not begin a journey without knowing the direction. You would not enter a battle without composure. The day is no different. Without silence, you begin already defeated, already distracted, and even a few minutes are enough. The length does not matter as much as the intention. You sit. You breathe. You stay still. You allow the mind to settle. Over time, this practice changes how you face life. You become less reactive. You become harder to disturb. Focus becomes natural, not forced. The Stoics understood that the world is loud and chaotic. That is why they trained themselves to be calm before meeting it. Silence in the morning is like sharpening a blade. You do not see the effect immediately, but when the moment comes to act, you are ready. If you skip this practice, the day pulls you in many directions. If you keep it, you move through the day with clarity. Silence becomes your anchor. It reminds you that peace does not come from outside events, but from how you prepare your mind before facing them. From the moment you wake up, the world begins to make demands. Events unfold without asking your permission. People act according to their nature. Circumstances shift without warning. The Stoic understands a simple truth early in the morning. None of this is fully under your control. Trying to control the world is a wasted effort. It drains the mind and breaks focus. Peace and focus begin when you stop fighting what cannot be ruled. Your thoughts, however, are different. They rise within you, not outside you. While you may not control the first thought that appears, you can control what you do with it. You can question it. You can guide it. You can refuse to let it command your actions. This is where real power lies. A focused mind is not one that controls events, but one that governs its own judgments. Most people wake up already tense because they try to manage outcomes. They worry about what might happen. They replay what already happened. Their focus is scattered across time and possibility. The Stoic brings the mind back to one place, here. Now, what am I thinking, and is this thought useful? This habit clears mental noise. When you attempt to control the world, frustration follows. The weather changes. Plans fail. People disappoint. Each resistance pulls your attention away from what matters. When you control your thoughts instead, obstacles lose their power. You adapt without anger. You respond without panic. Focus remains steady because it is not tied to results. Controlling your thoughts does not mean suppressing them. It means seeing them clearly. A thought appears saying something will go wrong. You observe it without fear. You ask whether it is true, whether it helps, whether it deserves attention. Often it does not. Letting it pass is an act of discipline. Each time you do this, focus becomes stronger. The Stoics trained themselves to separate facts from judgments. A fact is neutral. A judgment is added by the mind. Losing time is a fact. Saying the day is ruined is a judgment. By controlling your thoughts, you remove unnecessary judgments. The mind becomes lighter. Attention becomes sharper. This practice begins in the morning because that is when the mind is most open. Before the noise arrives, you can set a rule. I will not demand that the world obey me today. I will demand that my thoughts remain reasonable. This single decision protects your focus for hours. When something unexpected happens later in the day, the trained mind responds differently. Instead of asking why this happened, it asks what must be done now. Action replaces complaint. Reason replaces emotion. Focus stays intact because energy is not wasted on resistance. Over time, this habit changes how you experience life. You stop reacting to every stimulus. You stop chasing control where it does not exist. You become centered. The world may remain chaotic, but your mind does not follow it into disorder. Attention becomes something you carry, not something that is stolen. By controlling your thoughts, you reduce inner conflict. When the inner world is calm, the outer world becomes easier to face. Focus grows naturally when the mind is no longer pulled apart by unnecessary demands and imagined fears. Each morning offers a choice that most people never notice. You can give your attention to many things, or you can give it to what truly belongs to you. The Stoic begins the day by drawing a clear line between what can be controlled and what cannot. This line protects focus. Without it, the mind wastes energy on endless concerns that lead nowhere. There are many things outside your control. Other people's opinions, their actions, the past, the future, and chance events all move according to forces greater than you. When you try to manage these things, your attention scatters. Worry replaces clarity. The Stoic does not ignore reality, but he does not argue with it. He accepts the limits of his power and works fully within them. What remains in your control is enough. Your effort, your choices, your values, and how you respond to each moment belong to you. When you focus only on these, the mind becomes steady. You no longer chase approval. You no longer fear outcomes. Your energy stays where it can produce results. Most distraction comes from misplaced focus. The mind runs ahead to future problems or returns to past mistakes. Neither can be changed. The Stoic brings attention back to the present task. What am I doing right now, and am I doing it well? This question simplifies the day. When you focus on what you can control, pressure decreases. You stop measuring success by outcomes and start measuring it by effort. Whether the result is favorable or not, you know you acted with discipline. This removes anxiety and sharpens concentration. A calm mind sees details more clearly. This practice begins in the morning because that is when intentions are formed. Before the day pulls you outward, you remind yourself that control is limited. You accept this without bitterness. You commit to doing your part with care. This quiet decision guides your actions for the rest of the day. Challenges will still appear. Delays will happen. People will act against your wishes. When this occurs, the Stoic returns to his rule. Is this within my control? If not, he releases it. If it is, he acts. This simple filter prevents emotional exhaustion. By narrowing focus to what can be controlled, the mind stops arguing with reality. Resistance fades. Attention becomes precise. You move from task to task without carrying unnecessary weight. Each action is deliberate. Each choice is clear. Over time, this habit builds inner strength. You become less reactive to praise or blame. External events lose their power to disturb your focus. You remain steady because your attention is anchored to your own conduct, not to the shifting world. The Stoics understood that freedom is found in this discipline. When you stop trying to control everything, you gain control of yourself. Focus becomes a natural state, not a forced effort. The mind works with clarity because it is no longer divided between what can be done and what cannot be changed. Each morning, The mind looks for direction. Without guidance, it drifts from thought to thought, reacting to whatever appears. The Stoic understands that focus requires a clear aim. Not many aims, not scattered plans, but one intention chosen with care. This intention becomes the center of the day. Most people weaken their focus by trying to do too much at once. Their minds are filled with lists, worries, and unfinished tasks. Attention is pulled in every direction. The Stoic simplifies. He asks what truly matters today. What one action, if done well, would give the day meaning? This question brings order to the mind. Setting one clear intention is not about ignoring other responsibilities. It is about priority. When the mind knows what comes first, it works with calm strength. Distractions lose power because they are measured against the chosen intention. If something does not serve it, it can wait. This practice begins in the morning because clarity is strongest before the world interferes. In quiet reflection, the Stoic chooses his intention. It may be a task, a duty, or a way of acting. The form matters less than the commitment. Once chosen, it becomes a guide for behavior. A clear intention creates unity in thought and action. Instead of constantly deciding what to do next, the mind moves steadily in one direction. Energy is conserved. Focus deepens. Even simple tasks are done with greater care because they support the main aim. When obstacles appear, the intention remains. The path may change, but the direction does not. This steadiness prevents frustration. The Stoic does not abandon his focus because of difficulty. He adapts while holding to his purpose. This discipline also protects against regret. At the end of the day, you may not complete everything that is expected. But if you acted in line with your intention, the day was not wasted. This knowledge frees the mind from self-criticism and keeps focus strong. Setting one intention also trains restraint. The mind learns to say no. Not every opportunity deserves attention. Not every demand requires immediate action. By limiting focus, you increase its power over time. This habit changes how you approach life. You become deliberate instead of rushed. You act with purpose instead of impulse. Focus becomes stable because it is tied to values, not to urgency. The Stoics believe that a person's life is shaped by repeated choices. Each morning, choosing one intention is a small act, but repeated daily, it builds a focused character. The mind becomes disciplined. Actions become meaningful. Attention is no longer scattered, but directed by reason and commitment each morning. The Stoic prepares not for comfort, but for reality. The day ahead is unknown, but it is not imagined to be easy. Difficulty is expected. Delays are expected. Human weakness is expected. This expectation is not pessimism. It is clarity. When the mind accepts that obstacles will appear, it no longer wastes energy being surprised by them. Most loss of focus comes from resistance. Something goes wrong, and the mind reacts with frustration. Attention shifts from the task to the problem, from action to emotion. The Stoic avoids this trap by preparing in advance. He tells himself that interruptions will happen, that plans may fail, that people may act poorly. When these things occur, they are familiar, not shocking. Preparation strengthens focus because it removes emotional spikes. When you expect ease and face difficulty, the mind rebels. When you expect difficulty and face it, the mind stays steady. Focus remains intact because nothing feels unfair or unexpected. In the morning, the Stoic quietly rehearses the day. He imagines delays, criticism, mistakes, and fatigue, not to dwell on them, but to accept their possibility. This creates emotional distance. When challenges arrive, they feel smaller. The mind says, "This was expected, now act." This habit trains calm response. Instead of asking why this is happening, the Stoic asks what must be done. This shift preserves attention. Complaints scatter the mind. Action concentrates it. Expecting difficulty also builds patience. When progress is slow, the unprepared mind becomes restless. The prepared mind continues. It understands that effort does not always bring immediate results. Focus deepens when patience replaces urgency. This practice also removes blame. When something goes wrong, the Stoic does not attack himself or others. He sees the event as part of life's nature. Blame wastes energy. Acceptance redirects it toward improvement. When people behave unfairly or carelessly, the prepared mind does not react with anger. It remembers that people act according to their understanding and habits. This awareness protects focus. Emotional reactions pull attention away from what matters. Expecting obstacles does not mean refusing progress. It means moving forward without illusion. The Stoic still works with discipline and care. He simply does not attach his peace to smooth conditions. Focus becomes independent of circumstances. This mindset also strengthens resilience. When setbacks occur, the mind recovers faster. There is no long period of disappointment. Attention returns quickly to the task at hand. The day continues without collapse. Over time, this habit reshapes how you experience effort. Hard work feels lighter because resistance is gone. The mind no longer fights reality. It cooperates with it. Focus becomes stable because it is not shaken by difficulty. The Stoics understood that life tests everyone. The difference lies in preparation. By expecting obstacles each morning, you remove their power to disturb your mind. Attention stays where it belongs, on what can be done now. With reason and steadiness, distractions are not enemies that need to be fought. They are events that appear, then pass, if you allow them to. The Stoic understands that most distractions gain power not from their presence, but from the emotion attached to them. When the mind reacts with irritation or curiosity, attention is pulled away. When the mind remains neutral, the distraction fades on its own. Each morning, the Stoic reminds himself that distractions will appear. Sounds, messages, thoughts, and impulses will try to interrupt his focus. This is the nature of the world. Trying to eliminate all distractions is useless. Learning to ignore them calmly is the real discipline. Ignoring without emotion begins with awareness. A distraction appears. The mind notices it without judgment. There is no anger, no resistance, no excitement. Just recognition. This moment of awareness creates space. In that space, you choose not to follow the distraction. Most people lose focus because they react automatically. A sound creates irritation. A message creates urgency. A thought creates an anxiety. Each reaction pulls attention away. The Stoic breaks this chain by refusing to react. He does not label the distraction as good or bad. He simply returns to the task. This calm refusal strengthens focus. When you ignore distractions without emotion, the mind learns that not every stimulus deserves attention. Over time, distractions lose their appeal. They become weaker because they are no longer rewarded with reaction. This practice requires patience. At first, distractions will still pull the mind. The Stoic does not criticize himself for this. Self-judgment is another distraction. Instead, he gently returns his attention again and again. Each return is a small act of discipline. Ignoring distractions does not mean suppressing thoughts. Thoughts will appear naturally. The Stoic allows them to exist without engaging with them. A thought about the future arises. He notices it and lets it pass. A memory surfaces. He observes it and returns to the present. This calm detachment preserves focus. Emotion is what gives distractions weight. When you feel urgency, fear, or excitement, the distraction feels important. By removing emotion, you remove importance. The mind stays clear because it is not pulled by exaggerated meaning. This habit also trains humility. The Stoic accepts that the mind is not perfect. Distractions are part of being human. Fighting this truth creates frustration. Accepting it creates calm. Calm supports focus. As the day continues, this morning discipline shows its value. When interruptions occur, the Stoic does not tense up. He handles what must be handled, then returns to his task without lingering frustration. Focus is restored quickly because emotional residue is absent. Over time, ignoring distractions without emotion changes how you experience work and thought. The mind becomes quieter. Attention lasts longer. You are no longer controlled by every sound or impulse. You act by choice, not reaction. The Stoics believe that freedom comes from mastery of the inner world. When distractions no longer disturb your emotions, they no longer control your attention. Focus becomes steady because it rests on calm awareness rather than constant struggle. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes without warning. Some mornings it is strong, other mornings it is absent. The Stoic does not build his life on something so unstable. He understands that waiting to feel ready is a mistake. Action must come first. discipline is chosen. Motivation may follow, or it may not, but the work continues. When you rely on motivation, focus becomes fragile. The mind asks how it feels before it acts. If the feeling is not right, action is delayed. Delays weaken focus. The Stoic reverses this pattern. He acts because it is right to act, not because it feels easy. Each morning, the Stoic reminds himself that feelings are not commands. Tiredness, boredom, doubt, and resistance may appear. They are allowed to exist, but they do not decide behavior. Discipline decides. This creates inner order. The mind becomes clear because it no longer debates every action. Acting with discipline simplifies life. You do not ask yourself whether you want to do the task. You ask whether it should be done. This question has fewer answers. It removes inner conflict. Focus strengthens because attention is no longer divided between desire and duty. Small actions matter here. Discipline does not require great effort. It requires consistency. You begin the task, even if slowly. You take the first step without emotion. Once movement starts, the mind follows. Focus grows from action, not from thinking about action. Motivation often arrives after progress has begun. The Stoic knows this, but does not depend on it. If motivation comes, it is welcomed. If it does not, discipline remains. This independence makes focus stable. It is not affected by mood. Acting without motivation also builds self-respect. Each time you act despite resistance, you strengthen trust in yourself. The mind becomes quieter because it knows you will do what you decide. Doubt fades, focus deepens. This practice is especially important in the morning. The way you act early sets the tone for the day. If you wait for motivation in the morning, you train hesitation. If you act with discipline, you train momentum. Momentum protects focus. The Stoic does not seek comfort before action. He accepts discomfort as part of effort. When the mind stops avoiding discomfort, it stops inventing excuses. Attention stays on the task instead of on escape. Discipline also prevents emotional swings. Motivation creates highs and lows. Discipline creates steadiness. A steady mind is easier to focus than an excited one. Calm effort lasts longer than inspired bursts. When obstacles appear, discipline holds the line. The Stoic does not abandon action because conditions are not perfect. He adjusts and continues. This persistence keeps focus alive even under pressure. Over time, acting without motivation changes your identity. You become someone who acts by principle, not impulse. Focus becomes natural because action no longer depends on internal debate. The mind moves forward because it has been trained to obey reason rather than feeling. Purposeful action is the cornerstone of a focused life. Each morning, it is not enough to simply move or to complete tasks. The Stoic understands that movement without meaning scatters the mind. True focus comes from acting with intention, from aligning every choice with a clear sense of purpose. When action is purposeful, the mind does not wander. It is concentrated, calm, and strong. Many people drift through the morning waiting for inspiration, or feeling compelled to respond to external pressures. Their movements are reactive, not directed. Emails, messages, and small demands pull attention in all directions. The result is chaos. The Stoic chooses differently. He decides what matters and commits to it. His action flows from this decision, not from whim or distraction. Purposeful action begins with clarity. Before the day begins, the Stoic reflects on what must be done. He considers the tasks, responsibilities, and decisions that will define the day. He does not overwhelm himself with everything that could be done, but focuses on what should be done. This clarity transforms energy into effective work. When the mind knows the reason behind each action, effort becomes easier to sustain. Tasks that might otherwise feel mundane gain weight because they serve a larger aim. Even small actions, when performed with awareness, contribute to progress. Focus thrives because attention is anchored to meaning, not to fleeting impulses or random activity. This discipline also prevents distraction. When every step is taken with purpose, there is less room for the mind to wander. Each action has a reason, a direction, and a desired outcome. The mind moves efficiently from one task to another without being pulled off course by trivial thoughts or external noise. Momentum builds because the mind is aligned with deliberate action. Purposeful action also strengthens self-control. The Stoic does not act out of habit, habitually scrolling or reacting to notifications, but chooses each movement. This conscious control over behavior trains the mind to resist impulses that would scatter focus. The habit of acting deliberately becomes second nature over time. In addition, purposeful action cultivates confidence. When the morning is approached with intention, every choice reinforces the sense that you are in command of your day. The mind does not wobble under indecision or delay. Each completed task, approached with reason, becomes proof that discipline and focus are possible. Even when difficulties arise, purposeful action preserves clarity. Obstacles may slow progress, but they do not destroy direction. The mind remains oriented toward the goal because purpose provides a fixed point. Focus does not depend on smooth conditions but on steady commitment to reasoned action. Morning purpose also aligns energy with values. Actions are chosen not for immediate pleasure or external recognition, but for what aligns with personal principles and long-term goals. This alignment prevents wasted effort and increases satisfaction. The mind is sharp because it is not torn between competing desires. Finally, purposeful action is cumulative. Each morning that begins with deliberate choice strengthens the habit of focus. Momentum grows, attention deepens, and the mind becomes resilient. The day unfolds with fewer distractions, less wasted energy, and more consistent progress. The power of focus is found in repeated, reasoned action, performed with clarity and intention.